lecturers, even students. I'm presenting deadly influence today, and I hope you enjoy. In the early 1970s, in South America, Colombia precisely, there was a failed economy. And as a result of this failed economy, there was an increase in one particular crime, drug trafficking. Drug crime became a very serious problem. In fact, they were so blatant about it that, broad daylight, you just want to start killing people. Like, you just want to pow. Broad daylight, kill people. They were bold about anything. So a special division was set up by the government. A central tactical unit, codenamed Syntax 26, and was headed by Detective Alvarez, homicide detective Alvarez. And they wanted to use the homicide angle to unravel the drug syndicate organization. That was the goal. Syntax 26 was created specifically to use homicide to combat drug crimes. And because of the pressure by that division, drug crimes reduced, and they had to be more innovative, because we learned that in class that crime basically will get smarter as police operations get smarter. They will also upgrade, and they became smarter, and they were not very blatant about the entire their drug operations. They were not daylight killings and so on and so forth. So they stopped. July 29, 1985, a marine salvager noticed 3 dead bodies, and he informed the police. 3 dead bodies in the sea, and he informed the police. When the police came, they noticed that they were wearing expensive watches, expensive jewelry, and they had a lot of cash on them. And these were the hallmarks of drug people, basically. So they know that they will be informed earlier that they are trying to combat drug crimes in that state. So they called this Syntax 26, and he informed them about these 3 dead homicide cases. And of course, they immediately took up the case. They paid, and they got information about the son of one of the deceased. So they paid his son a visit, and he told them everything about what he knew about his dad, how his dad ran operations. His dad was also a very major drug trafficker. How they carry out operations is that they use their boats. They reconfigure their boats. They put hidden compartments. They welch them in. They make everything like brand new. And then they store drugs inside. Then they put everything back, because they know that when customs meet them on sea, customs will not ask to dismantle the entire boat. It's too risky because you can sink the ship. And they, of course, they got away with crime using that stuff. They informed the police. The son informed the police about that strategy. And what they will do when they bring the ship, the boats that they use into the city, they'll park it for like 3 days. They'll just park it down to ensure that there's no surveillance, and they'll come back in the middle of the night and come and take the drugs that they put there. And this was how they believed, so they informed the police. And the son also mentioned something interesting, that a group of cops or cop impersonators would came on this particular day. There were 6 people. 3 of them drowned, 3 of them survived. And a group of cops came that day to raid that ship. And that warranted the death of just 3 people. And we are going to codename that raid the Miami raid. So he told them about a group of cops. So the police were now getting on something. They went to the harbor. They met the security guard. He told them that a group of police also came on this particular day. But he did not really see them because it was late at night. And he even just saw me about something like that. So when they go back, he inquired about the entire police, from the entire police department. um, was a major operation carried out around this area, and all of them were ignorant of any. There was no official operation to steal, or like, and evidence was not turned in for $26 million worth of drugs. So at that point, the detectives were becoming more and more suspicious, and they needed a lead. They did not have anything at that moment. They needed a lead. So the three survivors, they did not have any official trace of them. They could not really locate them. Some of them had minor crime records, but they could not really locate them. So they played a hunch. And they knew that because they knew at least one of them should attend the funeral or the wake of the people who just died. So they attended the funeral, and true to their suspicions, they met two of them. And the two people denied their involvement or the involvement of any form of drug activity. But they confirmed that some police officers came to raid the boat. At that point now, everything was going to become more complicated, and at this point the FBI had to lend some sort of assistance. The FBI chief, Robert Martin, Special Agent Robert Martin, gave Syntax 26 a lead, and an informant lead, Amanda Woon. I want you to take note of Amanda Woon because it was very crucial in this investigation. Amanda Woon, they approached him. He was very reluctant to talk to them. He just shut the door, and they could not really get much out of him. But subsequently, something interesting happened. A driver was on the highway, and he saw a wooden box, so he stopped by and said, "Let me check this wooden box." And he checked it, and he found a dead body. He called the police, and they identified the body as Luis Rodriguez. This Luis Rodriguez is a friend to Amanda. Was a friend to Amanda Woon. They are both bar. They're like little bar business. They own a bar. And now they had cause to go back to meet Amanda Woon, like on grounds of investigating his friend's death. Take note that they mentioned nothing about the Miami raid. They just approached him, Amanda Woon, on grounds of his friend's death, and he was reluctant. He didn't really tell them anything actually. He was careful with his words, and he told them little. He was pained about his friend's death, and there were really no leads. Then subsequently, another detective, a friend to Detective Alvarez, contacted him and told him that this Luis Rodriguez, who just died, was an informant, was a police. He was discussing about police. They were trying to carry out a case on police impersonation very recently before his death, and that's his grounds for suspicion. So he approached Alvarez about it, and he told him that he also had a patrol officer, this Marco Rivera. This patrol officer was also in court with him and Luis Rodriguez in finding out police impersonators. So they set up a meeting with this patrol officer, and they went to meet him, and they were just asking generally about Luis Rodriguez. How did you know him, and this and that, and this and that. So something very interesting happened. This patrol officer, this street cop, mentioned the Miami raid. Miami raid, he came to this because of Luis Rodriguez. How do you know about the Miami raid? You're not supposed to know about it. You're not even supposed to think of the Miami raid. So they were suspicious, and they asked him to repeat his story. And when he repeated the story, there were inconsistencies amongst the two. So they now confronted him. How do you know about the Miami raid? He told them that someone told him, and said, "Okay, someone told you. Let us set up a meeting with that person that told you about the meeting the next morning." When they did, when he brought that person, apparently this person was all skittish. This was by himself, And in fact, most of the questions he asked the person that was going to confirm how we knew about Miami raid, most of the questions they asked him, it was the police officer that was answering it. So at this point now, they were very suspicious. And they started surveillance on Marco Rivera. And they noticed very expensive reading. They noticed expensive reading from him and a few other cops. So they were very worried because there were no internal affairs. They were not trained to investigate crime within the police force. They were trained to external affairs. So he approached the police chief about the situation. They hid all the identities of themselves and their families, so that they will not be at arm's way. They hid everything and they moved on. They carried on the investigation. They investigated Rivera's entire police department. They were doing screening for basically all of them, and they found like 8 suspicious police officers. They had their pictures, so they went back to meet Armando Wood, and they showed him those pictures. The moment they showed him those pictures, he started clapping. It was like, you guys are doing a good job. And he now confessed everything. At this point, I told you he was reluctant to talk earlier. At this point, he was more willing to talk. He told them how they used okay, this is how Luis Rodriguez used the police to report to the police to carry out crime. They will sell drugs. They will sell drugs to a person, and this corrupt police will go arrest this person, take his cash, take the drug that he just bought, then they will take it back to Luis Rodriguez. He will take the drug again, resell it, and give them their cut. And this kept going on. After a while, we were like, all right, you know what, let us do something bigger. So they called in another friend. So when they started using ships, he hooked them up with the ship system. The police, I told them, they traffic with ships normally. But the difference here was that this police would go to those ships, take 10 million. There was a case that they took almost 10 million worth of drugs of cocaine. And then this one, Miami Raid, was 6 million worth of cocaine. So they would take these drugs and resell them. But they knew, after Armando Wood explained everything, but they knew that Armando Wood's credibility would be questioned because he's a self-proclaimed drug dealer. They will not really believe he got over about a dozen police officers. So they needed more evidence. So they brought in the other bar owner who assisted him. They wired this guy. They put wires on him, and they set up a meeting with him and Rivera, where Rivera basically confessed everything to him. He did not know it was taped. He just, to the setup. They wired Armando Wood to similarly. He gave them more information. At this point, they thought they had a very big case, so they took it to court. And only for them to get to court, and the judge pronounced it a mistrial. Okay. What do you mean by mistrial? We thought this evidence. A mistrial, and they released all the suspects. At this point, it was a setback in the investigation. They were down, but they were more determined because now they knew they had to get more evidence, and they got more evidence. They got additional evidence. They got evidence that the people, the judges, the panel of judges who were supposed to try or give verdict on the case were bribed. Most of them were bribed, and then they sent an assassin to kill Armando, whom they apprehended, and they brought to custody to stand and testified. And at this point, there was like almost very little they could do. And then the case really cramped down when one of them confessed, and he made all of them just confess. And then the entire case was prosecuted. He sent all of them to prison. This brings me to the end of my presentation. I will